Good morning, church. Peace be to you. I hope everything's treating you good, and I hope you're treating everybody else good. I'm out here with the big doggy. Garm, say hello. Good boy, good boy. So today what was on my mind was the idea of widows and orphans. We are called to take care of the widows and orphans, not to neglect them. So I think sometimes, at least for myself, I misunderstand this commandment. I've always thought of it as, well, if there's actually an orphan, yeah, you should take care of them. If there's a woman you know, she's a widow, you should help her out. Hold on, watch for training. Garm, come! Good boy. That's how we should be running to Jesus. Anyway, so, but what if, like most of the things that Jesus says and that's in the Bible, what if this is actually just the top level? Yes, of course, you should take care of orphans that don't have parents. That should be a requirement, as it is. Yes, of course, you should take care of widows who are alone, destitute, need help, need guidance. Of course, that's a given. But what if we took this a little bit deeper to the spiritual level of this, not just the physical level? I was once a widow without a husband. I know this sounds strange, but hold on with me. I was once an orphan without a father. I've known my mother and my father my whole life. They never left me. But I was a spiritual orphan. I had no father in heaven who I ran to. So I wandered around this world as an orphan to God. I also was a spiritual widow because I did not treat my Jesus like he was my husband. I instead treated him like he was my comfort blanket that was supposed to make me getting the things of this world easier as opposed to harder. I think this is wrong. Jesus isn't your husband because he wants you to get the things that the world wants, but he wants you to have an easier time about it. You are not a child of God because you simply weren't accepted by another God. We are no longer spiritual orphans because we have chosen our Creator. We are no longer widows because we have chosen the bridegroom of Jesus. So when you walk around in the world and you think to yourself, how is it can I help the widows and orphans? Realize those humans that are wandering around out there, stumbling around in darkness like blind people, it's not because they're evil. It's not because they're malicious. Now, some of them may be. It's because they're orphans and they're widows and they're sad and lonely and they don't understand that their husband and father is waiting for them. Do not mistake physical orphans for the ones that you have to take care of. Of course you should. But when you find those spiritual orphans, it's up to you to lead them to their father. When you find those spiritual widows, it's up to you to tell them there is a man who will still take your hand in marriage, and his name is Jesus. Doesn't matter who else has thrown you away. It doesn't matter how many other husbands you've had. If you're willing to give them up, Jesus is willing to take you, and he's waiting for you. And I'll leave you with this, church, because a man told me it. I don't know if he actually told it to me or just said it when I was around. But I heard of him talking about, he was talking to a church, and they were going over their budget plan. And they get all the way done with it. And he says, I just got a question. Where is your line in your budget for widows and orphans? And they were silent. Line for salary, line for air conditioning in the building, line for renovations. Where's your line for widows and orphans? In your budget, where does it sit? Do the widows and orphans come after? Do the widows and orphans come after you've put into your retirement? After you've gotten everything you need? I would venture to say that the widows and orphans, if that's the case, they're not in your budget. They're in your afterthoughts. Put them at the beginning. Line 1, widows, orphans. Everything else comes wherever it comes. You don't need a building. You don't need air conditioning. You don't need a salary. You don't need any of that to help them. If any of these things are standing in your way, move them. They're stumbling blocks. It's your goal to find the widows and orphans and let them know their husband and father is waiting for them, just like he waited for you. It's an amazing story, and that's why we share it. I love you all. Go in peace, church.